Hey, what's up, guys? It's Taya Valkyrie, and you are watching THS Wrestling on That Hashtag Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Nisa from THS Wrestling. This is Jimmy from THS Wrestling, and we are joined by the amazing, the wonderful Taya Valkyrie.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hi. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great. Trying to breathe in this California fire.
What do you mean?
Nothing but orange, beautiful orange skies.
Yeah, orange skies.
Beautiful orange. What inspired you this morning?
What inspired me this morning? Well, I knew that I was coming to speak with both of you. Hello.
Oh, wow. You're good. You're good.
I mean, I am just trying to stay positive through everything that's been going on in the world, and it can be very hard some days, but I was excited to come here. I was excited to, be part of the auction that we did and a bunch of different things. So it's been a nice day.
Yeah, it has been a very nice day.
Very nice day. Now, going back to the start of your career in Mexico, now we know that you were a part of Perez Del Mar. Mm-hmm. Being a part of such an eclectic group with all that knowledge, is there anything that you really feel like you took away the most from being with that group?
I mean, I think just the overall experience of being with those people that are so iconic within the Lucha Libre community and pro wrestling as a whole was just like, so there's just like it's undescribable. There aren't words to say like how much stuff and things I learned from them. I mean, Pero and Halloween and Psychosis and Conan and Garza, and like it was just, and then there was me. So I mean, most of the time I was just trying to absorb as much as I could, and I was also at the beginning, like I didn't speak Spanish, and I was just kind of trying to make my way and find my path and where I belonged within that world. And I'm forever grateful for the opportunity and what Pero saw in me that first day when he met me and gave me the opportunity to be part of that, incredibly iconic faction as the first ever woman to be part of that group. It's just, I'm speechless, and I hope that I continue to make them proud and represent them, represent what Pero's meant to Pero. And, it's just a part of my career that I'm just so lucky to have had and to have lived through with those people. And Conan continues to obviously be a huge part of my life. And I feel like one of the things I'll always remember from him would be when I first started valeting for Pero. I was valeting in a dress and heels, which was never easy, right? And I remember I would walk around a lot around Pero while he was talking, and I'll never forget Conan always telling me, "Stop walking around, stand behind him, like stand next to him, behind him, so the camera catches you. Stop walking around because everyone's and there were just like little things like that, and little moments and little tweaks to what I was doing that they all gave me throughout the time that I was with them.
Explain, since talking about being down there, explain the climate down there, just the difference between an American wrestling audience and a Mexico wrestling audience.
It's very different. I mean, Mexico as a whole is the wild, wild west, I always like to say, when it comes to Lucha Libre. Lucha Libre is part of like the Mexican culture. It's the second most popular sport to soccer. So they are fanaticos, and like they go nuts, and they just are so emotionally invested in absolutely everything that you do. If you're a villain, they hate your guts. If you're a good guy, they will take the shirt off their back for you. They are so traditionally just committed to being a fan, and they're the sound the arena makes, the fact that they are part of the show. It's not only all about us, it's about them too. And you can really feel the difference. And I always say, like, to anybody who is trying to break through in the business and stuff, like you don't know until you go there and experience it. I feel like every wrestler should experience wrestling in Mexico for sure, because the fans down there are nuts. And I mean that in like the most amazing, iconic kind of thing, right. way. Yeah.
So after, dealing with that experience in Mexico, you then came to America and you were part of the initial seasons of Lucha Underground. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us the difference between like, being around those Mexican fans and then all of a sudden switching to, such a completely different end of the spectrum with dramatic television filming?
Well, if you're talking about fans, I don't know, man. The tempo was pretty nuts. I'd like to say that I remember the first day when I came out, when I gave the lead pipe to Johnny Mundo and he hit Cage in the head with it. And I was like so nervous. This is my first time, in America. Oh my God. Like doing what I've always wanted to do. and the fans started chanting "WERA LOCA" at me, and I was like, oh my god, I was petrified that they wouldn't know who I was. And it was just, you know, you realize like how much of an influence Lucha Libre has on professional wrestling. And I feel like the fans that were in the temple were the fans that were in Mexico. Like they were as lively and as committed and as loud. And when I would talk about Lucha Underground, when I was, you know, when we were filming, I would always say that the temple itself was a character on the show. And that speaks volumes for the types of fans that we had. I mean, you were there.
Yes, I was.
Yes.
I was there for your debut.
And the wedding.
And the wedding.
The most iconic lime green slime wedding that you'll ever see.
With a cake.
With a cake, yeah. That was all over me. Lovely. But yeah, I feel like the fans in Lucha Underground definitely made the transition a lot easier for me. And the people that we had behind the scenes and everything. It was just like this natural kind of evolution of who I was from Mexico into Lucha Underground.
I think you spoke about the influence of Lucha Libre in professional wrestling today. Every top star, male or female, across whatever promotion, has integrated Lucha Libre into their moveset. Do you know, can you speak on why that is and just how it could be so universal between all promotions? And I'm talking from America to Japan. You see Lucha Libre.
You see it everywhere.
You see it everywhere.
I believe that it's just gained so much more popularity, and I think Lucha Underground had a really big part in that, let's be honest. When I first went to Mexico, I feel like when I would speak about the idea of going to pursue wrestling in Mexico, everyone thought I was absolutely out of my mind, you know, and I still to this day think people think I'm out of my mind. But, you know, it was just not as trendy. And I feel like now it's become more trendy and people are realizing how cool and different the style is. And I always believe that you should be influenced by every type of style. Don't paint with one brush, paint with graffiti paint with, you know, I don't know, oil paint however, you know, and that's the same goes for professional wrestling. So I feel like the coolest style and the most influential wrestlers have taken from all these different types of styles. And I think that I try to do that every time I'm in the ring and be a representation that Lucha Libre and professional wrestling is a language of the world, that it's a language for every culture, every color. It doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter the language that you speak, what country you're from. It's for everybody. And I feel like the fact that people are wrestling with all these influences from all over the world is testament to that.
Wow. Yeah, going back to Lucha Underground, you actually made your in-ring debut in a no disqualification match with Cage. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen it, please go back and watch it because this was your basically your introduction to the wide American audience. Yeah. And you put it all out there. Can you tell us like what went into that match and like what was going through your head, because you went through a lot?
It was actually Cage's first intergender match as well. Which I didn't even know at the time. And I had just met Brian. Oh, no, actually, that's not true. I had met Brian Cage like in AAA because he was coming and we're doing a little bit, but just barely at that point. Fun fact is that was supposed to be John versus Cage, which a lot of people don't know. And John actually hurt his foot the night before. When we were filming. So the day, and I had just like met John. Okay. So I was just like, oh my God, this guy. Anyways,
let's dive into that.
But so the next day when we came in to shoot, because we would shoot on like a Saturday and a Sunday, we would shoot across the weekends. On the second day, and they're like, so Taya, John's like, I hope I hurt my foot. Like I'm gonna go to the hospital because I think I broke my toe. And I was like, oh, okay, well, and then the producers and everyone's like, okay, so you're gonna wrestle Brian Cage. And I was like, what? Oh, right. And it's a no DQ. And Brian's like, hey, okay, so this is what we're gonna do. And I was like, okay, I'm just happy to be here. Here we are. And so that's really what happened. And it's funny because like John talks about it now and he just laughs because when he went to the hospital to get it like x-rayed, they realized that he had just stubbed it really bad. And he's like, he's like, I don't know if you're ever going to forgive me. I'm like, remember those 2 tables I went through? Yeah. Great. Yeah.
He forever owes you.
Yeah. He forever owes me. But you know what? At the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. And I feel like that was like the perfect opportunity for the world to see what I'm capable of, why they call me La WERA LOCA, and to prove why that I belonged there. And, you know, and John, we all laugh about it now, but I just remember being like, so I got to be with this Johnny Mundo guy? Yeah, it was a very iconic moment and a very important match in my career for sure.
So speaking like that was an iconic moment for you. What is your take on intergender matches? Because now that's a hot topic, and people are like, should it be normalized? Should it not be normalized? But this is something that is iconic and help propel you to the person you are here now.
Yeah, I feel like intergender wrestling to me does not bother me at all because first of all, Lucha Libre has had intergender wrestling forever. So even before I was wrestling Brian Cage on Lucha Underground, I was doing years of luchas mixtas, atómicas, like with, you know, all different types of people within these matches. And so it was I never thought anything of it, honestly. And then at Lucha Underground, like if you want to talk about the fact that, I mean, it was a magical land. There are dragons and people that die and come back to life. Time travel. There is a lot of things to absorb. So it's a magical place. It's like if you're watching a Marvel movie, it's okay for the women to be fighting the men because we're superheroes. And that's the same mentality I feel with Lucha Underground. I feel like on the indies and in different shows, when it's done properly and when I feel like it can be really magical. You know what I mean? I don't ever see it as like domestic abuse, as people like to say, or like that it's wrong and blah. Like, oh, come on. We're both trained. We're both here to put on this wonderful athletic demonstration of art, which is professional wrestling for the public. And, you know, if you're experienced in it and you feel, and if both people agree to do it, then I feel like there's absolutely no problem with it.
Agreed.
I never
We
want
don't have like saying that we can't be like agree.
But I also just don't like. You know, there's certain people that have a problem with it. Then don't do it.
Right.
If you don't like cheesecake, don't eat cheesecake.
I think that's my point. Like,
stop telling people that they shouldn't like cheesecake if you don't like cheesecake. You know, we don't all have to like the same thing.
And that's my point. I think that's why it's such a big thing, because people are like, no, we shouldn't do it because I don't like it. It's like, well, it's the whole, like, I've seen indie matches. Candice LeRae actually is my favorite, like, intergender at PWG. Mm-hmm. You know, but she also got super kicked with tacks in her boot. Like, you know, but that made her Candice. You know. And
these are like really cool like matches that we all get to have, that in like, if we listened to everybody, like we would just be, you know what I mean? As a woman, it's hard to stand out sometimes, and we're not given the same amount of respect as the guys are. There's one girl to like every 20 on a show, you know? So this gives us an opportunity to have more matches and to have matches that people haven't seen before. And also sometimes, guess what? I'm probably going to be more of a handful for the guy than he realizes. So don't ever underestimate a woman in an intergender match. No.
Enough said.
So we're going to jump from Lucha Underground now. You've basically been a long-standing figurehead in Impact Wrestling since your debut. Mm-hmm. And as most people know, you're the longest reigning Knockouts champion.
Yes, I am.
Can't ignore that fact.
Thank you.
Especially now that we're in a pandemic and more eyes are being put onto Impact Wrestling. Mm-hmm. Do you have any personal goals for yourself or additional goals for the entire Knockouts division in general?
I think the biggest thing right now is I would really love to see the women's Knockouts tag team titles come back. We've had people like Tasha Steeles join our roster. We have Kimberly that's there now. We have Nevaeh. We have so many girls, and like these pairings like Tasha and Kiera, me and Rosemary. There's Alicia. There are enough women to handle a tag team division, and I think that that's one more reason and one more opportunity for women to shine within the show. And Impact's really good about putting more than one women's match on a show, for giving us our time to shine on pay-per-views and all that stuff. So I think that it's time for those Knockouts tag belts to come back, because I am going to go after them.
I think this is not common. I mean, this is common knowledge, right? Like, without the TNA or Impact's knockout division, there wouldn't be a women's revolution.
Like, I truly believe that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody would agree to that. Now you guys, I feel like you guys with Slammiversary and then now going into Bound to Glory, but really after Slammiversary, like just the energy that came off from the internet, being in a pandemic, but you still were able to feel. Did you feel that energy?
Yeah, and I feel like Impact is just like continually grown through like the 3 years that I've been there, and that I've just watched so much energy and sweat and tears and emotion go into every single show, and like it's just like it's so just like you just get excited just being part of it. And even with no fans, even with everything that's going on around us, we put on like the most crazy pay-per-view of the year, and we're going to continue to do that into Bound for Glory. So people, if you are sleeping on Impact, wake up. Because there's a lot going on.
And speaking of crazy, let's talk about Wrestle House.
You've been waiting to ask.
I've been waiting to talk about. Look, okay, so I got back into Impact after Slammiversary. I was wondering, I'm like, oh my god, like I forgot how great Impact was, and just seeing certain wrestlers go over there, and just the whole energy, and I was like, I'm in it. And then it followed up, and I saw Wrestle House for the first time, and I was like,
what is happening?
What is this? This is like Legends House, but not Legends House. But like I was confused, but also wanted to follow up with like the next week. I just want to know from a wrestler's experience and just you shooting it, like, what was your thoughts about it when it first got brought up? Second, when you guys wrapped it, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you guys, like, it's done, like it was like the big blow up thing, and now you guys are out of the Wrestle House. Just what was your mindset going into that and after that?
Listen, I like anything that makes people talk or makes people think something's weird. I mean, I picked those lime green outfits for the Lucha Underground wedding. Okay, I am not scared of weird. When it was brought up, it was almost like, actually Rosemary really was the one that came up with like the idea months ago, and her and Jimmy Jacobs came up with the idea of Wrestle House. I was like, okay, here we go. You know what I mean? I'm not scared of anything. I don't think there's ever a time when you should be worried about how you look or perceived. This is professional wrestling. There are times for serious, and there's time for fun, and there's time for everything. I feel like there should be moments of everything. And guess what? 2020 has been pretty shit.
Oh, yes.
So I think it was a great way to present professional wrestling differently than just the empty arena wrestling. And so when I was given the opportunity to do it, I was all on board. And I mean, it gave every single person on Wrestle House the opportunity to shine. There's people on Wrestle House that their characters weren't as, like maybe people didn't know them as well, and now you feel like you know them, don't you? So yes. I think it was really great for character building. I think there were just so many funny, stupid moments in there. I mean, I love acting. It's obviously a huge part of what I do, and being able to explore my character outside of just wrestling in the ring. And it was a great change of pace for what has been going on, I think, in professional wrestling on television.
Yeah, it's you've been a part of two iconic different moments with Lucha Underground starting the way of cinematic matches, really, and paving that path. And then with Wrestle House being that we're in a pandemic, and you guys just didn't go to cinematic matches. You guys went to
there was a lot
realities, magical. Like you guys did but
why is Abyss outside the door?
And it's so
Johnny
many.
Impact showed up. It was weird.
It was a lot, like, but that's what you're supposed to do during this
drunk
time.
at the toga party.
Like, I wasn't gonna bring up the highlights, but I was just saying. But it's.
but those are so fun. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Those are the things you're supposed, especially during this time, right? Like,
laugh. We need to laugh.
You need to laugh, and I think, as wild and crazy as it was one of those things where every week I'm like, what are they gonna do next? Like,
yeah, it was so weird because, like,
what's gonna happen?
At first, I felt like people were just so confused. Like, they were like,
me.
I don't know if I like this or not. And then as it went on, they were just like, oh shit, like, what are they gonna do next? What? Like, it just got stranger and weirder and more creative and more fun. And it's evident in the way that we're performing that we also were having a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And I think that is super important. And we were laughing and having fun the entire time. And I'm just glad that it has been taken in as positively as it has. And I'm really hoping that we get to do Wrestle House too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay tuned, Wrestle House 2.
Stay tuned,
Wrestle House 2.
So I feel like with Wrestle House, you got to expand on your creativity. And alongside that, you've actually done a collaboration with Headlock Comics for Agent Loca. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes. I was approached a few months ago about doing a collaboration with Headlock Comics, who've done like a lot of collabs with pro wrestlers about, little comic books. It's like Tales from the Road and stuff like that. And so he Michael from there came up with like kind of this structure, and we kind of went back and forth on how the story should go. And I think that I am not very familiar with comics and how it works and how much work goes into it. And I was so happy with the final product. I think the artwork is awesome. It's representation of me. It's representation of, you know, the colorful life that is mine. and I just really happy, and I think it's a really fun thing that's different than what is being put out right now. And I hope that everybody can get a chance to get one. You can get them on my website, THSvalkyrie.com right now, and I can autograph it for you and everything. So it was a very cool little fun collab that I did.
So speaking of, you know, comics, and we're here at the Neft Nest, as you coined it.
Yes,
this is
the Neft Nest.
Yeah, we're gonna call it this from now on. What do you geek out about? Like, people geek out about you, but is this something that you geek out of? Is it movies? Is it sneakers? Is it clothes? Like, what gets you?
Well, right now I've been just obsessed with clothing, because obviously I started my clothing line during the pandemic.
Oh, where can I find that at?
THSvalkyrie.com. I started LOCA during the pandemic. I've been a fashion student since January, and the plan was always to, you know, do something like that post wrestling or towards the end of my career. But as you know, things happen, and I'm a very creative person, and if I don't have a creative outlet, I kind of go nuts. Like, it makes me depressed and it makes me anxious, and so I decided to start experimenting and starting on ideas for my clothing line, and that's what I did, and I've ran with it. And now we have done 3 drops total.
Hey.
We've been going since April. The new fall and winter line will be coming out anytime now. I'll have an announcement about when that's coming out, and it's really cool to see my fashion sketches come to, you know, go to a digital sketch, and then I get the sample, and it's just like all these kind of this different creative process that I'm used to from professional wrestling or anything else that I've done. So right now I've just been like all about clothes. All I look at, I'm like, John is like, what are you doing over there on the laptop? I'm like, and he's like, I'm researching. Do you need 3 pairs of Nikes to research? Yes, I did. So yeah, I've just been like just focused on that, like the business side of that during this time, so that when things start going back to normal, I've kind of had this established brand, and I've been having so much fun doing it. And I'm very thankful that, look at you're just wearing my shirt. You're wearing the olive camo LOCA classic V-neck. Yep. Everyone's been really supportive, and it's important as an artist, I feel like, and as a human being, to not just be interested in one thing and to have layers, and I have that, and I like being able to share that with everybody. You know, I have a creative brain. I need to do things, and if clothing and kind of setting up a business is what's helping me get through what 2020 has given us, then that's what it is, you know. And I will not allow the pandemic to ruin my spirit or creativity, and I will come out on top no matter what. So clothes is the answer to that question. Clothes and shoes.
Once again, available at THSvalkyrie.com.
THSvalkyrie.com.
Yeah, I don't think I can actually. You just summed it up perfectly. I don't think I can answer or ask any more questions after
Aw,
that.
thank you.
Before we go, is there anything you'd like to say to the THS audience?
Well, just thank you guys for always being so supportive of me, Taya La WERA LOCA, and make sure you catch us every Tuesday night. Impact Wrestling on Access TV. All of my LOCA by Taya Valkyrie clothing can be found at THSvalkyrie.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the Taya Valkyrie and at LOCA by Taya Valkyrie.
Great.
Yeah, that's it. My name is Neeson.
This is Jim.
We'll catch you on the next one.